Hey guys, welcome back. So now getting into more talk with Justice League and the madness that is going on in the DC universe with the source wall being broken and a number of ancient dangers rearing their ugly heads like it just couldn't get better. But with all of this recently introducing us to the 6th dimension, we have got to get into it and uncover more of the hidden truths that have been locked away and being uncovered in DC Rebirth. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so where things are at this particular time with Brainiac and Lex Luthor, who have provoked the destruction of the Source Wall, which freed Perpetua in order for them to capture her, but then shortly after merging minds, which created a super dangerous alliance with one Lex Luthor, the way he thinks, being fed the full knowledge of Brainiac, but in addition also giving Brainiac the ability to use his mind and imagination beyond just crunching numbers. And once together, nearly instantly they were able to access the 6th dimension. And just as a reminder, them even getting this far was much credit to the Batman Who Laughs, who Lex Luthor had captured for some time then set free with the intention of getting answers that were beyond the known universe. But of course, as anyone could guess, the Batman Who Laughs was only there because he wanted to be, and he's only been using Lex Luthor to unlock all of the 7 dark energies, which is a brilliant move for the Batman Who Laughs. Why exactly he wants to do this? No clue. But the fact that he's getting Lex Luthor to do this and trusting for Lex Luthor to just be Lex Luthor, the Batman Who Laughs just knows that that's a safe bet, which makes even more sense with the recent information we found out about the secret history of his father, Lionel Luthor, who had made a number of phenomenal discoveries while he's with the Legionnaires Club, and those discoveries being the dark energies and the keys that would unlock them, which had also led him to discover that the 5th dimensional imps, who had just been known at this point as reality warpers, to whom many of which would cross over into this 3rd dimension and just deceive people on a smaller scale, much like leprechauns for example. Rather than being actual leprechauns, they're just 5th dimensional imps who would just manipulate reality on a small scale to play tricks on people. But what Lionel had also discovered is that these 5th dimensional imps can also open the door to the 6th dimension. And so now by this time, with Martian Manhunter with the rest of the Justice League, and as we had talked about before, Martian Manhunter and Lex Luthor share much of the same information prior to Lex Luthor merging with Brainiac. And so with Martian Manhunter taking this knowledge to the Justice League and teaming up with Starman in order to find a 5th dimensional imp powerful enough to pull this off and open a doorway to the 6th dimension, the options really come down to 2, and that's either Mxyzptlk or Bat-Mite, who are the 2, to my knowledge, most powerful imps from the 5th dimension in DC Comics. And individually for the most part, you have Bat-Mite, to whom to be technically clear is from the Mite dimension, which is the background story that we've been given from him according to his words over the years. But I would have to say that it's pretty likely that sometime in the near future that we'll get some type of explanation that ties the Mite dimension to the 5th dimension, which will likely give us the explanation that he was banned from the 5th dimension for the reason of creating the Mite dimension altogether. But that's more so one of those specific continuity things that's still up in the air. But as far as what's being established now in DC Rebirth through the discoveries of Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor uncovering the discoveries of his father, Lionel Luthor, from Rebirth moving forward, all imps have come from the 5th dimension, regardless of the level of power, to which yet and still Mxyzptlk and Bat-Mite are the 2 most powerful imps yet to date. But with Martian Manhunter bringing his discoveries to the Justice League, and them needing a powerful imp that is from the 5th dimension and not questionably from the 5th dimension, they end up bringing in Mxyzptlk, and he's summoned through the joint efforts of Martian Manhunter and Starman, with Martian Manhunter's telepathy and Starman his connection with the totality, with the plan to restrain him within a sphere constructed of black diamond that was forged in the pits of Apocalypse. And of course, with them summoning Mxyzptlk here, the first thing he attempts to do is cause trouble. And though he's not one to have like a malicious agenda, a majority of his history has more so been just taunting Superman, which is why Superman considers him to be his most dangerous foe, with his abilities literally being off the charts, with matter manipulation, teleportation, breaking the 4th wall. And when they bring him here, the first chance he gets, he just turns on the Justice League. Oh yeah, and aside from taunting Superman, he did try to holler at Lois one time, so let's not forget that. But while he's here seemingly to wreak havoc, but as it turns out, this whole time he's still been locked within this sphere and being held at bay by Martian Manhunter and the Black Diamond, which this sphere cage is made out of. But it more or less comes to the point of where while he's here, Superman lets him know that they need his help, because at the end of the day, as dangerous as he is, he's not evil at heart, and in fact he's well aware of why they need his help, because upon the recent destruction of the Source Wall, the 5th dimension has been dying, and with everything that the Justice League has pulled together to this this point, from the changes in Kendra's wings, to the secrets discovered by Martian Manhunter, to the broader scope that they've been given of the universe through Starman. All of this has really just been a limited view, which pointed them to the 5th dimension, and according to Mxyzptlk, this is a moment that he knew was coming. And with him being aware that beings from the 3rd dimension can't really travel to the 5th dimension without completely losing it, he tells them that the only person who can really go over at this moment will be Superman. And the reason why is because for some time now, Mxyzptlk has been preparing Superman for a time like this. And I really like that explanation, because one, Mxyzptlk isn't even his real name, but rather it's one that he goes by that's more comprehensible to people from the 3rd dimension. And with most of his plights mainly being a nuisance to Superman, it makes a lot more sense when he explains that everything he's been doing has really and truly been for the purpose of preparing Superman. And throughout DC Rebirth, even to this point, we've seen Mxyzptlk, who on the surface seems to be doing the same thing, but when it's all said and done, Superman has come out better because of it. And a prime example is after Mxyzptlk was captured by Mr. Oz, and when this happened, he thought Superman was going to come and save him, but when Superman didn't and he had to orchestrate his own escape, for one, yes, he was mad about it, but at no point in time was he just like, okay, Superman didn't save me, so I want to destroy him. But rather, this explanation that we get later, it explains why the plans that he had made, which were to initially just hide himself from Mr. Oz, who was still looking for him when he escaped, which is why Mxyzptlk disguised himself as Clark Kent, and even took it a step further to brainwash himself to make it more convincing. But with taking these steps so Mr. Oz couldn't find him, he ultimately set himself up so that eventually he would find Superman and challenge him with the goal of ultimately making him better. And of course his methods were questionable, I'm not arguing that, with him using his wife and his son as a means to do so, or like as bait if you will. But with this instance resolving with Mxyzptlk merging Superman and Lois with the versions of themselves from the New 52, it makes sense here when he tells Superman that he's been merging him with 5th dimensional energy for some time, and ultimately preparing him for a number of things that could come. And his motive is sound, because if Mr. Oz, or even Dr. Manhattan for that matter, and Manhattan likely would have been looking for him had he not returned to the 5th dimension immediately after. But with these other threats that are out there that are able to contain and possibly overpower Mxyzptlk, he wants to prepare this Superman to have some type of chance to overcome these threats, or at least enter the 5th dimension and save Mxyzptlk next time at the least. But after explaining these things to the Justice League, he makes the door, Superman goes through, and granted at this time Batman is very skeptical for good reason, and mainly with Clark walking into a dimension to which they have no idea or any knowledge about, like what's up, what's down, like how does time translate there, will he be gone for hours, months, years? And moments after walking through, an older Superman just opens the door and comes back. And this older Superman, who checks out 100% according to Martian Manhunter, he lets the rest of the League know that it's safe for them to pass through because he's adjusted the energy portal to handle their signatures. And because he checks out, the League goes with him, but they leave Mira and Starman behind just so that Earth has some kind of protection. But when they arrive here right behind your future Superman, they arrive in the front of the Hall of Justice in a world that represents the future utopia where the heroes have won and they've figured everything out. And as this Superman would describe, it is the future of their world where everything is not just perfect but better than perfect. And everything here 100% checks out to Martian Manhunter. But much further away on an unknown planet in a place that is far beyond reach, we also see the Superman who had walked right through the door moments after, who arrives on this deserted planet that is covered with countless dead Supermen. And it is dark here, there is no sun here, and as far as he can see, there is just space and no opportunity. And when Superman sees this, he initially freaks out for good reason, because at this point there's panic, there's confusion, and he is literally in a place where there is no sign of hope whatsoever. And because he is who he is, which is pretty much the symbol of hope for everyone else, he doesn't just give up, he makes a number of attempts to leave this planet and at least make an attempt to search and see if anything else is out there, because here there is no sun, there is no stars, and even with every attempt that he makes to leave this planet, he only grows weaker, but he's not going to not try. And I gotta say, just like visually, the flight and fail attempts here just remind me a lot of Man of Steel. Like, it's literally a mirror image of when he attempted to fly for the first time and failed at it, crashing through the mountains. Just had to put that out there. But while all of this is happening, back in the 3rd dimension, Mira and Starman notice that Mxyzptlk has formed this mysterious energy cocoon around himself, to where they find out through Jaro telling them that there's another voice in Mixie's head telling him that Mixie must do what they agreed upon. And it's only moments later to where Clark is visited by this future Superman, who, might I mind you, checks out 100% with Martian Manhunter, but he arrives here in this isolated location to tell Superman why he's here. But that'll do it for this one, guys. There are some insane forces working behind what's going on here. And for those of you who are caught up, don't spoil it for everybody else. We'll definitely get into the spoiler talk on the next video, to where at that point, I'll probably mix in a little breakdown of the 6 dimensions and just what each one actually is, and unveil a little bit of that mystery a little more. But if you guys would like that, just let me know down in the comments, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.